So in the last session we discussed about chart of accounts. Now we'll see how to create this chart of account related various tasks objects. First we are going to create the value set, then we'll create the chart of account structure, segments within that, and we have to assign the value sets to segments. Finally we have to assign segment labels to segments, and once these are ready we have to create the chart of account structure instance. Finally we have to deploy, and we'll understand all these points. And already we discussed what is the meaning of value sets, right? To maintain any values under any segment, for each segment we need one value set. So how many segments really required and what are the real practices, everything we'll discuss. But now, testing purpose, we'll create the chart of accounts with a few segments. Let's say 3 segments. Okay, we'll create the chart of accounts with 3 segments like company. We'll create the chart of accounts with 7-8 segment. Once we're done with this, we have a concept called as rapid implementation. As a part of rapid implementation, I'll just take you through how we can include and what are the various reasons, what are the best practices to design and create a chart of accounts. We'll discuss all those. Now say company, department, account. Why we are choosing these 3? When you create any chart of accounts, okay, I'll give you a few points, other points we'll discuss after some time. When you create the chart of accounts, minimum you should have 2 segments. Max you can create up to 30 segments. Okay. When you create the chart of accounts, minimum 2 segments are required. Those 2 segments are company and account. We can call these 2 segments with a different name that we will understand very soon. During this chart of accounts creation, we'll come across those terminology and we can understand those points. Okay. So when you create the chart of accounts, minimum 2 segments are required. Okay, if you want to create the chart of accounts, minimum 2 are required. Those are company segment and account segment. It supports up to max 30 segments, but nobody created 30 segments. We'll discuss those as a part of best practices. For now, we'll proceed with this. Now, if you want to create 3 segments within the chart of accounts, how many value sets we have to create? For each segment, we have to create one value set. Okay, for each segment, we have to create one value set. Now we'll see how to create the value set. Okay, since 3 segments, 3 value sets. Say company value set to maintain all the company values, department value set to create and maintain all the department values, account value set to maintain all the accounts. Now we'll see how to create the value set. Go to our implementation project, XYZ implementation project. Second. Yeah. Go to task list, manage implementation projects, XYZ implementation project. So search for the task called as value sets. Okay, search for the task called as value sets. Or you can say chart of accounts value sets. Easily you can find that task. So the value sets what we are going to create, those we are going to use within the chart of accounts. So simply you can search for chart of accounts value sets. Chart of accounts value sets. You can drag little right. Yeah. Here we have 2 tasks. Manage chart of accounts value set values. Within the value set, we have to maintain the segment values. That we are not going to do now. And we need this task. Manage chart of account value sets. or else we can proceed with any task. Both tasks will allow us to create the value sets, and both tasks will support us to maintain the values within those value sets. Anyway, as per current tasks, we can pick this. Manage chart of accounts value sets. Click on this task. Now you can notice here the sequence. The setups what we are going to do now, almost all the setups are in the sequence only. So we are going to define the chart of accounts. First, what we have to do? We have to create the value sets. Then we have to create the chart of account structure, and we have to create the chart of account structure instance. So what are the few points we discussed here? You could see all this. These all tasks are, these all activities or all these setups are included within these three tasks only. First, what we have to do? See here, we'll compare this. First, we have to create value sets. Yes, we have a task called as manage chart of accounts value sets. The second one, create chart of account structure. Here we have manage chart of account structure. Next, what we have to do is we have to create the segments. Segments we can create within this chart of account structure only. And we have to assign the value sets to segments. That also we can do as a part of this task only. As a part of chart of account structure, we can assign the value sets to segments. Next, assign segment labels to segment. What exactly meaning of assigning segment labels to segment? We'll see that. But this also you can perform as a part of this setup only. Manage chart of account structures. And create chart of account structure instance. Yes, we have a separate task here. Manage chart of account structures. This we can perform just instance creation. What does that mean by instance creation? We'll discuss. Deploy accounting flex field. Yes, when you do these setups, on top of it we have to perform that activity. We'll discuss that. And create segment values. Create segment values in value sets. What are the value sets we are creating? Within that we can enter the values. The company value set, all the company names. The department value set, all the department names. The account value set, all the account names we have to enter. And assign value attributes to segment values. When you create company, department, account values, for those we have to set the value attributes. What does it mean and what is the purpose? We have to set it up. Everything we'll discuss as a part of those setups. That means to create the chart of accounts, what are the various tasks you have to perform? This all you can perform within these three tasks. Manage chart of account value sets, structure, and structure instance. Okay. Now as a first step, we'll go and create the value sets. Already we discussed. Just for testing, to introduce how to create the chart of accounts, we'll proceed with only these three segments. Okay, three segments and minimum two segments to create any chart of account. Max you can create 30. Reality how we deal with this very soon we'll discuss and we'll do in the system also. But now we are going to create three value sets since we are going to have three segments within the chart of accounts. Yep. So go to manage chart of accounts value sets task. So click on go to task icon. So this is a page where we can create the value sets. Once you create the value sets, if you want to find out all the value sets, from here you can search. You can notice by default in the most of the pages Oracle is providing the search section. If you want to find something you can find, or else you can proceed with the creation. Okay, they are not giving the separate task, one task to search, one task to create. Both they are combining and giving in one task. If you want to find out existing, find from here. If you want to create new, you can create from here. Anyway, we didn't create any value sets. We are going to create new value sets now. For this is a task we can use. Once again, we'll navigate. The task name is manage chart of accounts value sets. Click on go to task icon. Now click on create. We are going to create new value set. Click on create. So what name we are using as a client, company or client? XYZ Inc. Let's use the same name here for unique identification purpose. Okay. The reality also always will include the company name when you create the value set name. So here you can name it as XYZ Inc. company. This is the one of the segment name. What segment is this? Company. For company we are creating value set. So we are giving the name as XYZ Inc. company, or you can say company value set. We know very well, even system can understand we are creating value set only. That is the reason you don't need to include within the name again as a value set. So simply you can say company name and segment name that you can take as a value set name. XYZ Inc. company. What we entered, that is the value set code. You can give in the short name also. Okay, but I written detail. The same you can take as a description, or else you can elaborate the value set name here if you want to write. But already it's a more meaningful way we written. So here you can take the same as a description. You can notice the description field is completely optional. It is not a mandatory field. So if any field you can see the star mark, that is a mandatory field. If there is no star mark, you can just understand that is an optional field. Without entering the data in that field, you will be able to save it. You will be able to save the definition what we are defining. Now the module. So whatever we discussed, accounts payable, account receivables, cash management, fixed assets, general ledger application, these all are the applications. These applications, the technical name is module. You can call as application or you can call as a module. Here we discussed the different applications. These all are applications. Applications. The same you can call as modules. As per FSM, we discussed these all are options. Within the offering, these all are the options. Each application we call as one option, or each application you can call as a module. Okay, you can call as application or module or option. Right? Now, within the system you can see module. The value set what you are creating, this is belongs to which module. That's what we have to specify. It is belongs to which module. Here clearly we discussed. Okay, so value sets we are creating to assign to segments. These segments and value sets we are going to have within the chart of accounts COA. The chart of accounts we can create within the accounting key flex field. The accounting key flex field we have in the general ledger application. That means the value set what we are creating now, that to use within the general ledger application with the help of accounting key flex field while you are creating the chart of accounts. This is the meaning of it. So that means the value set we are going to use within the general ledger application within the chart of accounts, which you can create with the help of accounting key flex field. So now we have to select module as a general ledger. Okay, the name is module, or they can give the name as a application also, both are same. Now select module as a general ledger application. Here we have a general ledger, you can select. Just select module as a general ledger. Okay, it will derive, no issues. Yeah. Validation type. I'll explain about these various types, but the primary one what we have to use, will pick it. So validation type, within this value set, you have to we are going to create the company values, company names we are going to write. The company names you are going to write how, on what base you are going to write, from where you are going to take, what sort of relation the companies are going to have, that you can represent here. For now you can take the validation type as independent. The other types we will discuss and we will understand. For now those are not required. You can select independent. Independent means what are the companies we have, we are going to list out. That's all. Okay. It is not like one company is going to depend on other company. Okay, if one company is going to depend on other company and all, you can take as dependent. This also I'll cover how to create the dependent value sets, etc. For now, you can take independent only. Reality, when you create this all through rapid implementation, automatically system also would pick independent only. Okay, ideally we use independent. Other values, what purpose, how to use those, what are the business scenarios, everything I'll cover. So validation type select as independent, and value data type. Within this value set, what are the companies you are going to enter? Those companies you are going to enter with what sort of data? Are you going to enter the company names with the date and time, or with the date or number? No, character. Okay, it will allow alphanumeric. Say character. So once you select the character data type, you'll be able to enter the companies and company codes also. For each company, you can give the number and you can write the description. The number, if I write the number as 100, 100 is the company code, and what company is that you can write as a description. If you select data type as a character, if you select data type as number, you can enter the numbers only. By seeing the numbers, you may not understand what company is that exactly. The date and time, it is not suitable for companies and all. Somewhere like if the segment is going to be time and the value set is going to be time, in those scenarios you can use it, but ideally that is not very useful. Okay, value data type you can select as characters. Here you have a few, one checkbox, security enabled and data security resource name. These are related to separate future. When you are working on general ledger application, there's a concept called a security rule. When we are dealing with that concept, we will discuss and will understand. For now, ignore it. Not required, no need to touch that. That is separate concept altogether. Now specify value data subtype. Value subtype, you can say text. Since we selected character, we are going to enter some text to represent, okay, the values which are belongs to this value set. And maximum length, see here, the maximum length, you can take this example, company department account location project. Okay, this is a company code 123. These are the company names I can call as a description. So here the maximum length is, you can say, one only. Okay, one digit. Here if I give maximum length as a 3 or else 1, say 1. If I give maximum length as a 1, I can enter the company codes with one digit only. That can be 1 or 2 or 3. Max I can go up to 9. If I want to enter company code as 11, it is not possible. Okay, 11 it is not possible. Here maximum length, within this value set, what are the companies you are going to enter? For those you have to enter the company codes. The company code size, or say length, whatever you are specifying, you are going to restrict with that. If you give 1 max with one digit, how many numbers you can enter? You can enter up to that. 1 to 9 you can enter, or else you may enter 0 to 9. All will be in one digit. Here if you give length as a 2, from 0 to up to 99, any number you can enter. It supports up to two digits numbers. If you give 3, 0 to up to 999 numbers you will be able to enter. Max 3 digits, whatever the highest number, up to that you can maintain the numbers. If you give 4, 9999, up to that any number. Okay, you can enter 1 or you can enter 10, you can enter 50 or 100,000. So max you will be able to use length as a 4 within this value set, whatever you are going to enter. Say I given 4. You will be able to enter the numbers in between 0 to, okay, the range I am giving here, the possibility 0 to 9,999. Okay, 0 to 9,999. Up to this, you will be able to enter the numbers within this value set. Within this value set, if it is a maximum length as a 4, you will be able to enter up to this range. But I want to restrict the users. I want to restrict the users when they are going to enter the company codes within this value set, that you can set here. Minimum value and maximum value. I'll say I don't want to allow the users to enter 1, 2, 3, or 10, or 20, or 100, or 200. If somebody is going to enter, the number should be in between certain range that I'll set here. The number should be between 1000 and this. Now, if somebody is trying to create company name with 2 digits or 1 digit or 3 digits, system won't allow. We given here minimum value and maximum value. Any company you create within this value set, the company code should be in between this range. So this is how you can set. And you can say uppercase only. If you enable uppercase, what are the company names you are going to write? Company code anyway you will enter based on the maximum length. And when you are going to write the company name, okay, say you are going to write, just I'm typing here, you are going to write company name as XYZ and say consulting. If you enable uppercase only, it will take all uppercase. Consulting. If you don't enable uppercase, you can write with uppercase or lowercase. So I can write consulting or anything. If you enable uppercase only, whatever you type as a company name in that value set, okay, just to type the name, text I use this field, ignore it. Okay, that's how system will consider zero fill. If I say zero fill, for example, we are not giving this minimum and maximum. If you enable zero fill, what happens is, since we given maximum length as a 4, if you are creating one company and if you give the code as a 1, automatically will fill with the zeros. Okay, you enter 1, it will fill with 3 zeros. Okay, if you enter 1, it will take 0001. Automatically it will take 3 zeros. The reason is maximum length we set to 4. If you enter 10, remaining 2 digits, it will fill automatically if you enable that checkbox. Okay, again we have to go for this. Okay, if you enter 10, automatic will fill remaining 2 digits. So this is how, if you want to set, you can, if you want to set such kind of rule, you can enable zero fill. Maximum length is 4. If you enter any company code with the 4 digits, okay, it will accept. Less than 4 means remaining digits it will fill. Okay, so this is a point we have to understand. The same process we have to follow to create other value sets also. Now we are creating value set for company. We plan to create 3 value sets. The reason is we plan to create chart of accounts with the 3 segments. Okay, minimum are 2, company and account. Maximum you can create 30. We'll discuss all those points. What are the possible segments when you do the real-time implementation? All those points we'll discuss. Now it is just we are trying to understand how to create the chart of accounts. We'll go through a few basic points. Then I'll add a few additional points which we should understand when you deal with the chart of accounts. And we'll create one more chart of accounts also through rapid implementation concept. What exactly that and all we'll discuss. Okay. So we are going to create 3 segments. For that we need 3 value sets. Almost we created one value set for company. If you want to give minimum value, maximum value, uppercase only, zero fill, yes, you can provide those values and you can enable the checkboxes. You can notice these all are optional. Okay, so these all are optional, not at all mandatory. These all are optional, so not at all mandatory. This part related to security rules. So that we no need to discuss now. That is separate concept. When we deal with the application called a general ledger application, we have many concepts within that list. This is one of the concept. We'll see when we deal with the general ledger application GL. But now these are the points we have to understand. Any questions on this, please? Just we are trying to understand how to create value set. I will explain these validation types we should understand, but not now, not required. But now just take validation type as independent. That means within this company value set, what are the values we are going to enter? Those all are independent. One value is not going to depend on other value, and there is no other point. And one more point is all the companies we are going to enter into this value set directly. Any questions here, please? This is how we have to create the value set.
Hi Lakshman, Neil here. I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So what is the navigation you told? Is it go through the setup and maintenance, right?
Yeah, you have to go to setup and maintenance. We'll navigate to FSM. Then go to project, open the project and search for chart of accounts value sets. I'll repeat it once again, no issues. I'll show you once again. Okay. So now you can click on save and close. So our value set would be ready. And here one very important point for the guys who are from EBS background. Anyone can answer to my question. Once you create the value sets in EBS, okay, if you are not from EBS background, you don't need to think about it. Leave it. Leave this question. Forget about this question. If you are from EBS background, once you create value sets, can you create values in the value set? Can you create values in the value sets in EBS?
Yes, yes, we can create, sir.
Yes, we can.
Yes. Here also you can create, but there is one issue with that I'll explain when we create the values by following this task. Ideally, once you create the values, once you create the value set, system will allow us to create the values. But why we are not creating? Why we are completing all these setups? After completing all these setups only, you have to create the values within that value set. Don't plan to create the values within this value set. If you create, that will be incomplete definition. Why? How exactly? I'll show the proof. When we show the proof, we'll talk about it. Here you'll come to know that. Okay. The values within the value sets, I'll explain that point. Okay. I'll explain that point. You can create, but that will be off of 50%. With that values, you cannot do anything. That's how system will allow us to create. What exactly that? I'll just give a note for the guys who are from EBS background and who are not aware of EBS, forget about it. Just you take the point, we created one value set. The same way, we'll create the value sets for department and account. We'll go and see that. Again,
I have a question, Mr. Lakshman here.
yeah.
In EBS also, we cannot add values unless the structure is created, right?
No. You can add it. You can add it. Here also you can add it. I'm not saying here we cannot. Here also we can add. There also we can add. But there once you add, everything would be ready. But here it would be incomplete. Okay. I'll show exactly like complete how when you compare with EBS, we'll discuss.
Okay.
See, this is a project. Somebody asked the question navigation and all. Within the project, you can search for the task called as chart of accounts value sets. You can find the task called as manage chart of accounts value sets. By following this task, you can click on this icon. It will take us to the page where we can create the value sets. Yeah. We are here. Here only we created one value set and remaining two more value sets we are going to create from the same page. So just click on create to create new value set. Now we'll create the value set for next segment called as department. When you create in the system for your practice, and there are many other points also we'll discuss very soon, maybe today's session or maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow session, we'll come to know many other points related to chart of accounts. But follow the same sequence. Don't create account as a first segment, company as second segment, department a third segment. Here there is some meaning, right? First, identity or entity is company. Within the company, you can have a department. Those departments will involve in various activities. Those you can record in the system as accounts. You can maintain as accounts. So in companies, we'll have a departments. In departments, we'll do different activities. Those only will record in the books as a different accounts. So follow the same sequence when you define the segments within your chart of accounts. Now anyway, we are creating the value sets only. When you create segments also, we'll see this point. Okay. So company value set is ready. Now we'll create the department value set. Company value set is ready, but no company values inside of it. It's empty value set we have. Later we'll add the values into that. The company value set will assign to company segment, department value set to department. We'll see all those. Let's create department value set. We can give the name as XYZ IRC. Okay. Department. Take the same as the description, but not mandatory, optional. If you want to take, you can take, or else you can ignore. And this value set is belongs to which module? Already we discussed. So this we are going to use in the chart of account. Chart of accounts is in the accounting key flex fill. Accounting key flex fill belongs to general ledger application. So select module as a general ledger. Module or application both are same. Select module as a general ledger application. It's big. Okay, done. Validation type you can select as a independent. Ideally we use independent, but what are the other validation types also we'll discuss. Okay, when you create the value set, just select validation type as a independent. And select data type, value data type. Within this department value set, what are the departments we are going to enter? Those you want to represent with numbers or date or time or character. Select character, it will support alphanumeric. You can enter number and you can enter the name also. Select value data type as a character here. This already we discussed. It is applicable for every value set. This is related to some security concept that we'll see when we come across with that concept. Now value subtype. Select as a text. Okay, some text you are going to input within this department. What type of text? That is some character based alphanumeric. And maximum length. When you create the department names and all, we have to provide the department codes. For company we given maximum length as a 4. Department, how many we want to give? Say client has only 7 departments. In that case, you can go with the 1 digit. But ideally we suggest the client better you can have a 2 digits so that you can maintain numbering as a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. This is how they can go. And again, they will look into all the segments. What are the segments they have? What is the number format they are going to follow? They may have a rule for every number what they enter, or else every department or every company, every account they enter, there should be minimum 2 digits or 3 digits or 4 digits. That's how they can take. Otherwise, they can take as per the reality. They have only 4 departments or 10 departments. In that case, they no need to go with a 3-digit number. 2-digit number is more than enough. So that's how they plan. This all need to be decided with the client approvals. Okay, we have to sit with the client to discuss. So for company, what is the numbering you want to follow? Some clients they says we want to use 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Some clients may says 1000, 2000, 3000 or 1100. Okay. Or 11, 10, 20, 30. This is how they'll just come up with their the numbering and all, what format, what is the size of number, I mean to say length. So when you sit with the client, these will be finalized. We don't need to worry about it. As per client interest, we have to take that length, and the other side we can suggest also. But ultimately client, whatever they say they want, accordingly we have to set all this. For department also, let's take maximum length as a 4. So that department codes you can enter with the 4 digits. For each department, you can give the code in 4 digits. So minimum maximum values, uppercase only, 0 fill already we discussed. Now you can say save and close. Now we are ready with the department value set also. Anyway, it will be saved. Next segment is account. For account segment also we need one value set. Let's create one more value set. Click on create and you can give the name as XYZINC account. The same you can take as a description, or you can ignore. Select module. Okay. So just select module. This value set is belongs to which application? One second, it is taking time. So general ledger is the module where we are going to use this value set. Okay. So module name is general ledger application, or you can call as general ledger is the application. Here module type application, module is GL, general ledger short name. So validation type already discussed, use independent, other dependent, etc. These also we'll discuss very soon. So validation type you can select as a independent. Okay, that means all the accounts what we are going to enter, you can enter directly within this value set without going for any dependency kind of relations. And still you can group them and you can create some relationships also. That is a different story. We'll see. And value data type is say character. It supports alphanumeric number, alphanumeric entry within this value set. And value subtype you can select as a text. Okay. And here only the point is we have to specify the maximum length. Right. Let system open that field. We will input the maximum length. Length, when you look at this account, definitely this length will be bigger than other segments or say other value sets. In every company you can see the accounts in thousands and lakhs also. Okay, in thousands and lakhs. Even it is small and medium size, you can see definitely in the thousands. It's a large or bigger size company, definitely you can find the accounts in the lakhs also, because they'll have those many operations. Okay, so those many activities they do related to their business process. Accordingly, we have to give the numbering. Here, let's provide the number as a 5 or 6, or else just for testing purpose, you can give 4 only. No issues. Anyway, once we're done with that, once again, we are going to create all these through rapid implementation, which is automated process. There we can discuss once again. I'll take you through how reality the numbering can be given. We can understand all those. Okay, here also I'm giving maximum length as a 4 only. Now say save and close. Say save and close. Okay, now we are ready with these 3 value sets. I'll just mark it as done. So we created value sets. Since we are going to create the chart of account structure with 3 segments, 3 value sets are ready. Done. Now you can say save and close. So save and close. Now we'll create the chart of account structure. Okay, you can say chart of accounts or chart of account structure. So as a part of chart of account structure, what we are going to do, we are going to give the name for the structure, and within that we are going to create the segments, and to each segment we are going to assign the value sets. These 3 value sets will assign to these 3 segments during the segment creation itself. And we'll assign the segment labels to segments. Okay, what does it mean and all we'll see. Now, these 4 activities: create chart of account structure, segments, assign value sets to segment, assign segment labels to segment. These 4 activities we are going to do by using this single task. Within this task only, you can do all those. Structure creation, segments creation, value sets assignments to segments, and segment label assignment, everything we can do within this manage chart of account structures task. Okay, now click on go to task icon. Click on go to task icon. Now we have to understand these points. Okay, we are going to create the chart of accounts. Where we are going to create the chart of accounts? In accounting key flex field. Yes, the reality the name is accounting key flex field, but in the system you will see this name as accounting flex field only. The display name they are giving as accounting flex field. Okay, this is the display name within the system. The reality that is accounting key flex field, but display name in the system is accounting flex field. Accounting flex field is nothing but accounting key flex field, which helps us to maintain the company key information by following certain hierarchy. Hierarchy means the chart of account hierarchy. So top level structure name, under that segment, under segments value sets, within the value sets values, that is a hierarchy. So to manage all this information, they are using the accounting key flex field. So within accounting key flex field only, we can create the chart of accounts. The actual name is accounting key flex field, but within the system you will see as a accounting flex field only. Now we are in this page. How we navigated to this page? Just click on done. We'll just go back. Yeah. Within our project, we have one task called as manage chart of account structures. Okay, by using the task called as manage chart of account structures, you can navigate to that page. Click on go to task icon. Just click on go to task icon. Here, search they given key flex field code, key flex field name, and it belongs to which module. In Fusion applications, okay, in Fusion applications related to chart of account structures, we have only one key flex field, that is accounting key flex field. Okay, accounting key flex field. Anyone who is from EBS background, how many key flex fields we have in EBS which are related to chart of accounts?
Only accounting key flex field.
EBS.
30 segments,
Yeah.
No. Key flex fields. How many key flex fields we have in the GL which are related to chart of accounts in EBS?
So we can
Accounting
create as
flex
many as
Wrong.
Basically, there is the major one is 1,
Hmm.
and in the system it is 3.
Exactly. This is the answer. Okay. We have 3 in EBS. Okay. We have 3 in EBS and 3 are related to chart of accounts only. But one is the primary one which we use. The second one automatically system would create. Okay. Whenever you create the chart of account, the second one it will create where you can use FSD reporting and other concept, other aspects usage. And the third one is the custom. If you want to use, you can use, otherwise not required. Anyway, those remaining two are not primary in EBS. Let's ignore that. Now in Fusion we have only one, ideally, which we use in EBS, the same they given here. That is the reason related to chart of account structure, you no need to search for with a key flex field name. Simply you can click on search. In Fusion we have only one, that directly system will display. Click on search. Fine. So within the general ledger application related to chart of account structure, we have only one key flex field, that is accounting key flex field. Okay, that is accounting key flex field. In EBS, we have 3, but directly we don't work on those 3. Only one is the primary. The same Oracle is providing in the Fusion. Now just click on search to find out the same accounting key flex field. Okay, so here you could see the record. Application is general ledger. Within the general ledger, the key flex field name is accounting flex field. The actual name is accounting key flex field. Display name is accounting flex field. Here we could see the name as accounting flex field. What is this? This is one of the key flex field name. That means accounting key flex field you can call. Reality, that is accounting key flex field, but display name they are giving as accounting flex field. So within the general ledger application, we have accounting flex field or accounting key flex field. Within that accounting key flex field, we can create the chart of account structure. We'll see that. So once you find this record, you can click on manage structures. Click on manage structures to create the chart of account structure. Okay, first we have to click on search, then you can find the record. Once you identify the record, you have to click on manage structures. Now within this instance, how many structures already created you can see by clicking on search. This is a Vision instance. You can find the sample data. We all are practicing, we are all testing. So there will be a lot of sample data. There will be many chart of account structures which are already created in this environment. But when it comes to the client, it would be empty, even if you click on search. Click on search here. So you can find out many chart of account structures. You can find out many chart of account structures because this is a Vision instance. See, all are the different structures which are already created in this environment. Okay, instance simply you can call as environment also. Okay, instead of calling an instance every time, you can simply call as environment. That could be production or development or test. Simply you can call as environment. Fine. So within this instance, you can find many chart of account structures. But anyway, we are trying to understand how to create new chart of account structure in case of fresh instance. Ignore all the instances, whatever we have, ignore all the chart of account structures. We'll create the new structure. The navigation is, you have to come to this page with this task and we have to click on search. Then this record will get displayed. Once you see this record, click on manage structures. Now here click on create to create the new structure for your company or say your client. Click on create. Now structure code, structure name, structure description and delimiter. Structure code, name. So what we are creating the chart of accounts. Okay, we are creating the chart of accounts. Simply you can give, if company is XYZ Inc, you can give the name like that. See, XYZ Inc, chart of accounts. You can give otherwise XYZ Inc, chart of accounts structure. Yes, we are creating the chart of account structure. You can give XYZ Inc in short COA. But generally we don't use the naming convention like that. Since we are creating the chart of account structure within the accounting key flex field, as a best naming convention, we give the name like this: XYZ Inc accounting flex field. This is how you can give the name. Okay, we are creating the chart of account structure by using the accounting key flex field. So you can include that name into this. Again, you don't need to write this is chart of accounts when you are creating chart of accounts only. You are in the chart of accounts creation page. Whatever you create, that will become chart of accounts only. You don't need to address it as XYZ Inc chart of accounts. That is already chart of accounts only. So use the naming convention like this: XYZ Inc accounting flex field. we are creating within the accounting flex field chart of account structure. So prefer to use this sort of naming convention. Okay, XYZ accounting flex field, that you can give as a code as well as a name also. Because the field is code, you don't need to enter very short names and all. Ideally, you can enter the name how you want to have your chart of account structure. Say XYZ accounting flex field. The same structure code you can use as a structure name. And you can just take the description as this. And what is a delimiter? Delimiter is nothing but segment separator. You take your content. So these are the segments. Here we took simple example, right? On 20th October, you are performing one transaction. The worth is 25,000. What is the 25,000 that we are representing in currency, that is USD? And what exactly you are doing? To describe that, we have to write the description. 1 means company consulting, 3 means sales, here 4 means accounts like computer sales, 1 means Dallas location, 0 means it's not related to any project related sales. So this is how we are describing this codes: company code, department code, account code, location code, and project code. These all are we are taking, that we are calling code combination, CC, code combination. Now, how these codes you are separating, how these codes you are segregating? With dot. If not dot, you may put slash. Okay. If you don't put anything, you cannot understand. Okay. So what is the company? Of course, ideally first one is company, you can understand. But your company code may be 13 or it could be 1 also. You cannot understand by seeing this code combination. It's not a code combination. This is directly one number. Okay, that is the reason when you are taking the different codes which are belongs to different segments, you have to separate them. You may put slash or you may put dot, or you can take some different symbol. Okay, but ideally you have to separate them. So how you want to separate? It's all data we are going to enter in our chart of accounts. When you maintain all these companies, department accounts and relevant values with the help of value sets, when you are going to record the transaction, you may select company, department, account. How system has to display those three with what sort of segregation that you have to set here with the help of delimiter. Delimiter is nothing but segment separator. What are the segments we are going to create in this chart of accounts? By using those segments, when you create the transactions, how that segment related codes need to be separated, that you can specify here. So you can put the dot, slash, or star mark, or pipe symbol. There are many options. Okay. So ideally you can go with this dot. So this is how we have to provide the structure related information. Just we create a chart of account structure. If I click on save, this structure would be ready. Within this structure, what we have to create? We have to create the segments. We have to assign the value sets to segments. What are the value sets already we created? These 3 value sets we have to assign to these 3 segments. Before that, we have to create the segments. First, we'll create segments, then assign the value sets to segments. Okay. So now here in this page, you can notice this is segments creation section, but the segment creation function is disabled. Once you save this structure definition, this will be enabled so that you can create the segments inside of this chart of account structure. Okay. We given the code name, description is completely optional, not mandatory. You may ignore, but delimiter is mandatory. So select delimiter. So don't use this other symbols and all for segment separation. As a best, just you can use this dot, or you may use hyphen. Ideally, we use this dot. Done. Now you can click on save. Once you click on save, system will enable the segment creation function. Click on save. Okay, done. Now you can see segment creation function is enabled. Click on create. How many segments we want to create? We are planning to create 3 segments. For each segment already value sets are ready. Yeah, we'll go and see that. Click on create. Here you can give the segment code. Which segment you are creating, you can write the segment name. Already we discussed company, company, department and account. You can give the segment code as company. Once you give the segment code, the same segment code system is copying as API name. As a functional consultant, we don't need to do anything with this. This is for technical purpose. Just place the cursor in that field. It is talking about what does it mean by API. Basically, API stands for Application Programming Interface. Okay, so that we can use in technical aspects. You can see here. Okay, this name can be used in web services. Web services we can use for data transfers and all in the Fusion applications through middleware. And when you are going to create the custom reports, you can use it. And when you are doing the integrations, you can use it. So what Oracle is recommending, don't change this. You enter the segment code as a company, it defaulted the same name as the API name. Whatever the letter like we given as uppercase, C we given as uppercase, but here it is taking all as a lowercase. It is copied as this with a lowercase. And don't disturb this. That's what Oracle is recommending. As a functional consultant, we don't need to do this. This is for purely technical purpose. You don't need to worry about it. Give the company code, segment code automatically that will be defaulted as API name. Ignore it. You don't need to do anything with that. Copy the same segment code and take as it is as a segment name. Segment name also company. Description is optional. You can provide description or else you can ignore, but I'm giving that. And provide the sequence number. Here, the segments, whatever we are going to create, what sequence we require that we have to give. The first place should goes to company, second one is department, third one is account. So you should give the sequence like this only in the actual sequence without any gaps. 1, 2, 3. Okay. There should not be any gap. If any gap is there, you cannot use this for transaction creation. Okay, when you create the transactions, if you find a gap, you cannot use it. Okay, if you find a gap, you cannot use it. That chart of account will not support to create the transactions. So make sure that you are giving the exact sequence. By mistake, if you enter for this 3 and 4. Okay, in the sequence, one number gap is there. This chart of account you cannot use at all. So provide the sequence, okay, without any gaps. And again, don't give numbering like 10, 20, 30. This sort of sequence also doesn't work here. Okay, it will give the error message and it won't allow you to record the transaction. So always go with the sequence without any gaps. 1, 2, 3. If you have 7 segments, 1, 2, 7. That's all. So here you can provide the sequence number. As per our chart of accounts, the company is going to be first segment. Enter 1. Prompt. Prompt is nothing but when user will enter the transactions, this segment name, how we need display. Prompt is nothing but display name for this segment. What is our segment name? Company. How we want to see the company name, company segment as a company owned. Okay. Company only. So take segment name as a prompt. Or else, for example, as per our chart of accounts, we have a segment called as company. But for users, you want to display that segment name as organization. That you can write here. Make use. Okay. When they are going to record the transactions, they want to see the name as organization name. You don't want to display the segment name company as a company. Okay, company and organization say both are same. In your case, you want to display like this, or else you want to display the prompt as a branch. Okay, you have 4 branches. You are taking those 4 as 4 companies, 4 entities related information that you want to display as a branch. So how you want to display that segment name to the business users when they record the transaction, that you have to enter in the prompt. Okay, so you generally we no need to change whatever the name you are choosing for segment, that you can use for prompt also. Short prompt. Already the name itself short, the same you can take as a short prompt also. And display width. Now you just count this field display. Okay, you just take this field display 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many characters display you can see in this field? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I type 6, the first number is not getting displayed. That means this display width is 5 characters plus one more character space we have, but that is not properly displayed. That means the current field display width is 6 characters. The same way, this field, short prompt field display width could be like 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So this can display directly 40 characters. Okay, this field display capacity is 40 characters. And this column name, this field display width could be maybe 20, 25. And this field may be 35. This field display size is maybe 20, 25, 20, 20. This may be 40, 40. This may be just 5 or 6. In the same way, when we are going to record the transactions, when system will display this segment called as company, for this company segment, with how much width you want to display the field, that you have to enter here. Say 30 characters. When we see this in the system, you can understand. For now, just remember, we are creating the segment called as company. For company segment, we given the display width 30, where this 30 will be displayed. I'll show. 30 means the display width, where it will show that width as based on this input value. We'll discuss. Now we discussed one simple point. Max you can create 30 segments, minimum 2 segments. When you create the segments, you have to choose that which segment you are using. Ideally, we have to go in the sequence only. Go to column name. Okay, select segment 1. Yes, we are creating the first segment only. Here you may select segment 2 also, but why you are not choosing segment 1 first? Okay, there is no reason, right? First segment, so select as a first only. Okay, so one segment you can use only one time. This segment 1 once you use for this company, for department segment 1 won't be available once you save it. Before saving, okay, it would be available. Okay, select segment 1. Okay, column name you can select as a segment 1, since we are creating the first segment within our chart of accounts. Now this is a company segment. For company segment, what we have to assign? For every segment we have to assign value set. Okay, create segment. Yes, we are creating segments. During that segment creation, we have to assign value set to segments. So we are creating the company segment. For company segment, we have to assign company value set. Select company value set here. Okay, default value set code. You can notice which is mandatory, which is optional whenever you create anything in the system. So default value set. If you don't assign value set to company, you cannot maintain any companies directly under these company segments. Always we have to maintain all the companies within the company value set. That company value set you have to assign to this segment, so that within that value set, whatever we have, we can access from this segment. So now go to this drop down and click on search. Okay, search for the value set, whatever we created. We created 3 value sets, right? So just search for XYZ company. Okay, select this value set XYZ company. Click on this. Click on this record. This will get selected and say OK. Now what we did, we assigned. Okay, we assigned company value set. Company value set to company segment. Done. Now one more point. We have to assign segment labels to segments. Okay, we have to assign company segment labels to segments. This point you cannot understand in one go. Okay, now itself you cannot understand. It will be more clear by the time we record the transactions. Once we start recording the transactions, you will understand the purpose of the segment labels and all. Already if you are from EBS background, it is known information for you. Okay, the others who are not aware of EBS, you don't need to worry about it. In our classes, we'll discuss maybe after a few classes. So after this, maybe 2, 3, 4, within 4, 5 classes, we'll come to know what is the purpose and all. Till the time you just remember what we are doing. Okay, but I'll try to give you the basic information which may help you to understand now. But the complete information you can understand once we start recording the transaction. Done. Now, say you are just recording some transaction. Okay, you spend some expense. Now you have to write which company. Say company is the 1, department is 2. What you spend, some expense. For expense, there will be some code. Instead of code, I am writing the name directly. Some travel expense, or else travel expense. What is the account code that you can write? And what is the location? Location 2. Project is 0. It's not related to project. I'll write like this. Say 5,000. 5,000 INR. So this I'll debit. If you are not aware of what debit and credit, we'll discuss. We'll see when we record the transaction. We'll discuss about this. Simply I'm taking a debit. You spend some expense. When you spend some expense, we have to pay. You may pay directly, immediately, or else you may pay late. If you want to pay later, that would be liability for us. What is the pending from our end? What is the due for us? That you can write as a liability. Otherwise, you may pay directly. We spend some expense and we paid. In that case, who spent this expense? Company 1. So now company 1 is liable to pay. So select company 1, say department 2, or else department can be different department. Okay, this travel expense spent by HR department, maybe finance department is paying. What they are paying? Cash they are paying. Okay, cash they are paying. In which location they are paying? Say location 2, and it's not related to project. This I'll say credit 5,000 INR. So this is how we record a transaction. Now, as per accounting, okay, as per accounting, the debit amount what you are entering, the debit, that amount should be equal to credit amount. Means the debit amount and credit amount should be equal when you record the transaction in the system. Another important point is the debit row, whatever the company you are selecting, the credit also you should use the same company. Okay, it's not like one company is spending, other company is paying. That is a different story. That you can see in the business. You have 4 branches. Okay, in those scenarios, so one branch may purchase from another branch. Reality, we have to buy from the suppliers. But within the organization, there could be some transactions. In those scenarios, one branch will spend and another branch will pay, and one branch will purchase and other branch will pay to the other branch or someone else, etc., etc. But as per when you look at any business transaction, ideally, if you are spending, one branch is spending or one company is spending, that same company is liable. Or else one company is selling, the same companies should get the revenue from the sales and all. So this rule need to be followed in the system also. That means in each and every transaction, the company code should get balanced. Okay, whatever the company you have in the debit, the same company should be in the credit also. Whatever the amount you have in the debit, the same amount should be equal to credit. Otherwise, the transactions cannot be processed. Okay, the transactions cannot be processed. If these things are not getting balanced, you cannot produce accurate reports also. Everything will go into wrong track. So that is the reason, as per accounting rules, the debit amount should be equal to credit. You may have a more than one debit or more than one credit, doesn't matter. Your all debit should be equal to credit when you record the transaction. If it is only one debit and one credit, yes, whatever it may be the scenario, the debit amount should be equal to credit amount. When you record the transaction, the company, okay, what level you want to balance all the business transaction? Company level. Out of all these, the primary one is company, right? The primary one is company. So company level you will plan to produce the reports. Company level you will try to control everything. Company level you will try to balance anything. So that is the reason, out of all these segments, the very important and very primary one is company. What level you want to produce the reports? Company level. If you want to produce the reports department wise also okay, but department is inside of the company. Company is the primary element. So when you have segments, when you have a multiple segments, you have to choose one segment as your primary segment. What level you want to balance the business transactions, what level you want to produce the reports, what level you want to find out your profitability. Okay, this is all you have to think and decide. Ideally company only. Okay, ideally company. How much we are spending company wise, we want to know. How much revenue we are generating company wise, we want to know. How much, what reports we have to produce, that company wise we have to know. So this and all we have to do company wise. So that is the reason here everything need to be balanced at company level. See here, I took an example. Company 1, department 2. Department 2 may be HR department. What they did, they spent some travel expense. And for location 2 and project is nothing. And here, who is the responsible to pay cash? Same company 1 only. It will become company 1 liability. And company 1 only has to clear. But paid by whom? Okay, no issues. Finance department is paying. But and what account? Cash account. Here departments are different, accounts are different, the remaining can be different, but what level you want to balance, that should be same in debit and credit transaction. Then only you can just prepare the reports as we need in the organization. That means in every transaction, company need to be balanced. Company codes need to be balanced. When you balance the companies, you will be able to generate the proper information, accounting information. Based on that, you can prepare reports which you can use for internal and external purposes, and you can find out the profitability or any sort of reports you can prepare. Here we have to understand 2 points very primarily. The debit amount should be equal to credit amount, and in the debit and credit, the company value should be the same. Because why we are saying company level only we have to balance, and the company level only we have to generate the reports. Along with the company on any level, if you want to generate the reports, that is also possible. But ideally company. So company need to be balanced in the debit and credit. Balance means should be same. And debit and credit amount should be same. This is a rule which we have to follow. But if you give the system to the users, they can enter company as a, in the debit company as a 1, in credit company as a 2. In the debit they may enter 500, in the credit they may enter 5,000. System will accept. To enforce this rule, what's the rule? Debit company should be the same as a credit company. Whatever the company you are selecting in the debit side, the same you have to have in the credit side also. And what are the amounts you have in the debit side, the same amount should be equal to credit also. This is the rule. To enforce the rule in the system, we use the concept called as labels. Okay. To enforce that rule in the system, we use the concept called as labels. out of all these segments, which is our primary segment? Company. Okay. So primary segment level, we want to balance the transactions where system will take care of debits and credits in respect to amount as well as codes. So for that reason, here we have a segment labels. Okay, we will understand all the segment labels, but what we require now we will discuss. These all are created dummy labels by someone. So what reality Oracle is providing, what we have to use, we'll talk on that. Here, when you create the chart of accounts for company segment, we have to assign the segment label called as primary segment label. Okay, primary balancing segment label. Our segment is primary. What is that? Company. The company level, what we want to do is we want to balance. So balancing segment. Which segment you want to use as a balancing segment in our chart of accounts? Which is a primary that we use to balance so that everything will get balanced. The rule will be implemented automatically. Select primary balancing segment label. And here you can say move. Now segment is company. And here we selected primary balance and segment. Whenever you select this primary balance and segment label for company, within this company, what are the company values we have? Once you record the transaction, these two rules will be enforced. System will verify company what they are choosing in the debit, same in the credit or not. What are the amounts they are entering in the debit, the amount is equal to credit or not. System will start verify because we assign the label. The label will do all these activities. Okay, like just we are keeping ready that label to do the validation when we record the transaction. For which segment it has to validate? Company segment. Company segment only, the debit and credit companies are same or not, it has to verify. And debit amount is equal to credit amount or not, this also need to be validated by the label called as primary balance and segment label. Okay, primary balance and segment label. Other labels, what we have to understand, where what is required, we will discuss. Now we are talking about company. So for company, always assign primary balance and segment label. Can we assign this primary balance and segment label other than company? Yes, but 99% we always assign to company only. If not company, that 1% what could be, that we will discuss anyway when we talk about the best practice for chart of accounts and other related points and enterprise structure. This and all very soon we are going to complete. Okay, there will come across. For now, simple point you can take. We are assigning primary balancing label to company. When you assign primary balancing segment label to company, here let me write that. For company, we are assigning primary balancing segment label. Okay. We are assigning primary balancing segment label. For company, we are assigning primary balancing segment label. I'm just writing here. I'll explain after creating remaining two segments also. We'll talk about it. Okay, for company segment, we assign primary balance and segment label. Make a note. Which segment, which label we are assigning, remember. Why we are assigning? When we record the transactions with any company, system has to verify in the debit and credit we are choosing the same company or not. In the debit and credit amount is same or not. This need to be verified by primary balance and segment label. Once you assign primary balance and segment label to company segment, if something wrong, it won't allow you to process the transaction. Say you entered, okay, 5,000 and 500 here. You cannot process this transaction. Here you enter company 1, here you enter company 3. This transaction also system will stop because of primary balance and segment label. Okay. If you just keep some security at your office or home, they'll do the validation, whom they have to allow, whom they should not allow. The same way when you assign this primary balance and segment label, in every transaction what we record, okay, the primary balance and segment label will verify in this transaction the companies, the debit and credit same or not. in this transaction the debit amount is equal to credit amount or not, or else the credit amount is equal to debit amount or not. If these are passed, then only the transaction will be allowed to process, otherwise no. Okay, we are putting the check, we are putting some validations for each and every transaction which you record in the system with the help of primary balance and segment label. That. So other labels we'll discuss. For the guys who are from EBS background, I want to give one note for them. In EBS, we have flex field qualifiers. Yeah, flex field qualifiers. The same flex field qualifiers in Fusion we are calling as
Segment labels.
yes, that's all. But there, how many we have here, how many we have? Yes, we'll discuss that point also. For now, just take this point. Done. You can raise your questions on this, but let me complete few points. Done. Okay, so we assigned primary balance and segment label to our primary segment, main segment. Our main segment is company. So the primary balance and segment label we are assigning to company segment. The next step. We just done with this. We given the code. Automatically system is taking the API name for the purpose of customizations for technical people. You don't need to touch that. Okay, don't change the name. It will create a lot of issues if you change this name. So never touch that. And segment code only you can take as segment name and description. It's a completely optional. Okay, it's completely optional. If you want to enter, otherwise ignore it. And sequence number. Okay, enter the sequence. So you should follow without any gaps. Okay, and prompt. How the segment name should be displayed to business users when they record the transaction, that you can provide here. Ideally, we use this segment code or segment name only as a prompt. No need to change. Short prompt, mandatory field, but the name itself short, so you can use as it is. And by default, the segment is enabled. You don't need to change it. Display width. For our segment called as company, when users are going to record the transaction, when system will display the name called as company, for that system has allot the field. What should be the field size? 30 characters we given. And column name, segment 1, and default value set code. We are assigning segment is company, so segment relevant value set only we are assigning. For company segment, company value set we are assigning. Here we have a range type. Generally, we don't use this anywhere. Just if you are going to have a segments, okay. If you are going to have some segments where you have to set the lower value, higher value, okay. So that there you can use, because so the solution should be available to support the global practices for any sort of business process. That is the reason for flexibility Oracle given. Generally, this range, it was not there in EBS and Fusion only they just introduced. If somebody wants to have one segment like some start time or end time, or starting value or ending value, this sort of information they want to include as a part of chart of accounts as a separate segments, yes, you can use this. But we no need to think on that. Nowhere we come across with this sort of field requirement when you create the segments. Ignore it. So, and we given this and we assigned value set and we selected primary balance and segment label for our company segment, so that things will get balanced. The amounts will get balanced. The company codes will get balanced in each and every transaction. Now you can say, save and close. Within our chart of accounts, one segment will be ready. Okay. We plan to create how many? 3 as of now. Later we are going to create 7 or 8 segments. But now we are going through the process of how to create all these through manual process. Instead of creating through manual process, we have an automation also. Okay, just you can input something, it will create everything. Now we are creating the chart of accounts. We created value sets. We created calendar. Okay, we are creating the segments. We are assigning the value sets. We are assigning the labels and all. These are all we don't need to do. Okay, but we should know how to do it. without and doing through manual process, we have alternative option, which is a rapid implementation. It will create all these in the same sequence how we are creating. And system will create if something goes wrong, we should know how to fix it. That means we should aware how to create 100%, we should aware. So that is the reason first we are going through this process. Once we are comfortable with that, I'll take you through the process how all these things can be created automatically with the concept called as a rapid implementation. You will input certain information in the spreadsheet and you will generate the file, you will submit to the system. So your setup should be ready in minutes. Okay, that is the process. Anyway, that we'll see later. So within our chart of accounts, we created one segment called as company, and we have to create two more segments, department and account. So let's create department segment. Process is same. Click on create. Okay. Just click on create, and name is department. It is just stored in the browser and all. We just with the same name multiple times for different matches. So the same like department you can take as a name. First one is segment code. This is segment name. Segment name is department. Description is we can take as this or else you can ignore. And this is very, very important. Sequence number by mistake also if you give any gap, system won't allow you to use the chart of accounts for transaction creation. So this is second segment, right? Company is the first segment. This is second segment. Prompt. How you want user to see this segment as this department only. What is the short prompt? Same. Display width for this segment 30 characters. Field size we required. And column name second. The first one is not here. Already we used. Now second segment we are going to use for a department. Okay, so one segment you can use only one time, max you can create 30. That's what we discussed. Reality, how many we create, why we should not create more, okay, why we should not create very less, and all we'll discuss. So for now you take this point. Okay, column name is segment 2 because your number is 2. Reality, this is second segment. For a department segment, already we created department value set. So assign the same. Go to drop down, click on search. So value set code is XYZ INC department. Search. Select. Say OK. So now we selected. Reality we call it as, okay, assigning value set to segment. Okay, assigning value set to segment. We assigned a department value set to department segment. We assigned company value set to company segment. Just remember the terminology. It's not like providing or selecting, say assigning. We have to assign value sets to respective segments. Now, department segment. For a department segment, which segment label we have to assign? Which segment label we have to assign? For a department segment, we have to assign the label called as cost center segment label. Okay, select and say move. Why we have to assign cost center segment label to department segment? When you use the fixed assets, when we use the fixed assets application, if you don't assign cost center segment labels to department, okay, in the fixed assets, you cannot do the accounting for the depreciation and various activities you do. That means if you are going to implement fixed assets application, you should assign the cost center segment label to department segment. That is one point. Other very important point is, there is one application called as expense. If you are going to use expense application, system will verify any segment is qualified as a cost center or not. Okay, ideally, the department you can treat as a cost center segment only. So system will have a validation, department segment cost center label is assigned or not. Otherwise, their cost center based processes and all approvals doesn't work. So that is the reason, if you are going to use fixed assets application or expense application, you have to take cost center segment label for a department. Okay, even if you are using only one also, yes, you should assign. So cost center segment label we have to assign to department to calculate the depreciations and to do the accounting in fixed assets application. If you are implementing fixed assets, cost center segment label is mandatory for department. Say you are not implementing fixed assets application, if you are using the application called as expense, or you can say fusion expense, yes, cost center segment label is mandatory. Otherwise, the relevant process doesn't work. Approvals and other configuration also doesn't work. Okay, this is the point we have to understand why this is required. Why primary balance and segment label is required for company, already discussed. Everything need to be balanced and the reports need to be generated. That is the reason we assign. In the same way for department also we have to assign cost center segment label. After assigning, click on save and close. Let's make a note of the same in this spreadsheet and we have to discuss some point on this. For a department, we assigned cost center segment label. Okay, cost center segment label. Done. Now next, sorry, what is this? Cancel. Okay, here find out our structure. XYZ answer, right? Yeah. I'll show you how to edit etc. also. Unfortunately, just by mistake it got closed. It was not saved also. Sorry. Okay, let's create once again. Created a wrong segment. Sure. Right. So this is a department, right? Discuss all the points simply. Let me complete this. A second segment. Prompt. Display width is 30. Column name is segment 2, right? So we have to assign the label to this department, which we created for department only. XYZ department. Search. Select. So label name is cost center segment label, right? Select. The purpose also we discussed. For the purpose of fixed assets usage and the fusion expense application usage, this is a mandatory. So we have to assign cost center segment label to any one of the segment within our chart of accounts. Ideally, that is a department. You may call it as a division also sometimes. That we'll discuss when we understand about detailed chart of accounts and enterprise structure. What are the possible segments we can have? How we can map into the system based on the real-time business practices. There we'll understand. For now, simple point is assign cost center segment label to department. That's all. Now say save and close. This says save and close. Yes, 2 segments are created. As we planned, we have to create one more segment. That is account segment. This is our chart of account structure. Within the 2 segments we have, we are going to create one more. Here you can see the sequence number, whatever we given, as it is taking. It is not taking automatically. During the segment creation, whatever we given, that is taken. If you select department, click on edit. Just click on edit for department segment, how we created. The record will be open. There we given like a sequence number as it 2. The same you can see 2. And which label we assign and everything you can see. Now you can cancel this, no updates we did. Now click on create. To create one more segment, that is account. Account automatically is taking as the API name. Paste. This is going to be 3rd segment. Prompt we need as this. Short prompt also same. The display width is, I'm taking 30 for this also. Okay, 30. And column name. Okay, column name 3. Already we use 2 segments. Value set code. Which value set we have to assign? Which value set, which segment we are creating, accordingly we have to assign. For account segment, assign account value set. Okay, XYZIMC account. Yes, this is the value set we created. We are assigning. We are assigning the value set to segment, but inside of the value set we don't have anything. The empty value sets we are assigning to segments later will fill some values in those value sets. Since already the value sets are assigned to segments, the values what we enter will be available under segments. Okay. Now for company we assigned empty value set. For department account we assign empty value sets. Inside of those 3 value sets we don't have any data. Yeah. Later we'll fill the values in that so that those would be accessible by respective segments. Now here, account. Say, I will just enter one account here. I'll enter just an account like salaries. Okay, salaries. And I'll say payables. I'll enter cash. Now, when we enter all these in the system, when we are going to maintain all these accounts, we have to specify with the nature. What type of account is this? Okay. Primarily, we have 4 type of accounts. There is a 5th type also we'll discuss. We'll see in the system. Primarily 4 types, which generally we use. One is expense, other one is revenue, assets and liabilities. The 5th one you can say owner's equity or ownership. So these are the type of accounts. When we create an account in the system, like say I am creating an account called as salaries. Whenever we pay the salaries, we use this account. By selecting this account, we will pay the salaries. Payables. So whenever you spend some expense, whatever we have to pay, or else whenever you purchase from any supplier and you take some services, whatever we have to pay to suppliers, that is nothing but payables, nothing but liability. How much payables we have, how much cash we have, how much cash we paid, etc. When we are going to maintain the system, we have to address these accounts' nature. Salaries is which nature of account? Expense. Payables is which nature? Liability. Cash is which nature? Asset. Okay. So this is how, what are the accounts we are going to maintain in the system. For each and every account, we have to set the nature. How come we know all the accounts' nature? No worries, we don't need to think about it. When we do the implementation, client will provide all the accounts with the nature. Okay, there could be one account name exactly as ABC. What does it mean by ABC? If you look at the salaries, you can understand. Okay, salaries, expense. The client may have some account name as ABC. By seeing ABC, you cannot understand. You cannot say that is expense or liability, asset or revenue, etc., etc. Nothing is written within the name at least to identify what account that is. So that is the reason all the accounts, whatever client is using in their business, when you do the implementation, they will provide all the accounts with the nature of accounts. Which account, what nature, whether expense or revenue or asset or liability, with all the natures they will provide. So that is the reason we don't need to worry about the nature of accounts. But anyway, going forward in the rapid implementation sheet, you can see almost all the accounts, what generally we use, what is the nature for each and every account also. So this is when we are going to create in company segment, we will create company values. In the department segment, we will create the department values with the help of value sets only. In the account segment, we'll create the accounts with the help of account value set. When you create accounts, you should specify the nature. For company, there won't be any nature. Department, there won't be any nature. But when it comes to account, there will be nature. What are the accounts you are entering? What nature of account is that? Expense account or revenue or asset or liability. Based on that only, you will be able to produce the reports. If you don't set the nature, the calculations and the reporting and all doesn't work. So that is the reason for each and every account which we just maintain in the chart of accounts with the help of that account value set, you should set the nature. If you want to set the nature, in the system we require those values. Assets, liability, expense, revenue, ownership. This nature related information is required that Oracle is providing with the help of one label called as natural account segment label. Here in this labels list, these all are not actual labels which Oracle is providing. We'll discuss which labels Oracle is providing, which labels somebody created in this. Okay, as a dummy labels, I'll explain. Here there is one label called as natural account label, natural account segment label. Assign this natural account segment label to account segment. When you create any accounts in this account segment with the help of this account value set, system will ask us, okay, you are creating account called salaries. Please select what type of account is salaries. You have to select the salaries account type is nature is expense. From where you find this account type called as expense, from where you find this account type called as revenue, asset, ownership, etc., that would be provided by natural account segment label. This segment label will help us to specify each account nature. Okay, so if you don't assign this natural account segment label to account, when you create accounts like salaries, some payables, receivables, cash, etc., you cannot specify what type of account is that, because you're not assigning natural account segment label to account, so you cannot say. If there is no nature at least for the account, with that even if you record the transaction, no use at all. So that is the reason as a mandatory we have to assign natural account segment label to account segment. Okay, so that let's make a note. For account segment, what label we assign? Natural account segment label we assign. Okay, there's just few parts, maybe 5 more minutes we'll wind up. So for account segment, we assign natural account segment label. Why? When we list out accounts, we have to specify type of accounts. Type of accounts, if you want to specify, natural account segment label only can provide all those types to select. Otherwise, in the system, there is no option to select account types if you don't assign natural account segment label. Okay, that is the reason we have to assign natural account segment label to account. In the system, you can see that when you are working and going forward, all you'll come to know with the proofs. Now, just for information, I'm sharing. If it is not a complete information for you, you are not able to understand, no worries. Just remember 2 points. Okay, one is which segment, what we are assigning, what purpose. Even if you don't understand at this stage, no worries. We will understand. We'll see the proofs. We will do it. Okay, at least in this stage, think like I'm introducing that terminology, which is very new for you. And remember, if I ask you like, for company, which label you have to assign? Primary balance and segment label. For account, which label you have to assign? Natural account segment label. For department, which segment label you have to assign? Cost center segment label. If you are able to answer this, enough. If I ask the question why, if you are not able to answer, no worries. You will come to know those. Okay, but I'm trying to give you some basics. The complete information you will see the system again, we'll discuss and we'll understand. Done. Now save and close. Done. Okay, we created 3 segments. For 3 segments, okay, for 3 segments we assigned 3 labels. For 3 segments we assigned 3 labels. Now we'll talk about this. So what we discussed, within the chart of accounts, minimum 2 segments are required. right? Those two segments what we discussed, those two are company and account. Okay, we discussed two segments are mandatory in every chart of accounts. Of course, we didn't discuss these two only. But now the point is, in every chart of accounts, two segments are mandatory, compulsory. Without those two, you cannot create the chart of accounts. What are those two? Company and account. Really, we should call this as a two as a company and account, or any naming convention we have to use. So for company segment, what label we are assigning? Primary balance and segment label. For account segment, we are assigning which label? Natural account segment label. Since for company, we are assigning primary balance and segment label, company segment you can call as balance and segment. Okay, for company segment, which label we are assigning? Primary balancing segment label. Simply you can call as company segment as a balancing. For account segment, which label we are assigning? Natural account segment label. The account segment you can call as natural account segment. How you are calling this? Based on the labels. Which label you are assigning, with that label name you can call that segment. The same way for department, which label we are assigning? Cost center. Now department segment you can call as cost center segment. Okay, cost center segment. So now if I ask you the question, how many segments are mandatory in the chart of accounts? We can say two segments. Which segment are those? Company and account. Instead of saying company and account, how we can say two segments are mandatory? Those are, for company, what is the other name? Since we are assigning the label. For account, what is the other name? With that names you can call.
Natural account.
Yes. Simply you can say two segments are mandatory in the chart of accounts. Those are balancing segment.
Natural account segment.
This is what we have to remember. Which is your balancing segment? Which is segment we call as a balancing segment? Don't say company. In other words, you try to say which is the balancing segment.
Business unit.
No. We never discussed about business unit. The term we never introduced. Let's say simply to which segment you are assigning primary balancing segment label. That segment is balancing segment. Right? Which segment is balancing segment? To which segment we are assigning primary balancing segment label? That segment is balancing segment. Ideally, company is the balancing segment.
Yes.
Which segment is natural account segment? To which segment we are assigning natural account segment label? That segment is natural account segment label. 100% we assign natural account segment label to account segment.
Account.
Do we assign primary balance and segment label to company always? 99% to company only. Sometimes the name can be different. That anyway will come to know. So these are the points we have to understand. Okay, which is your cost center segment? Department, ideally cost center segment. The department level you can track that depreciation in the fixed assets, and department level only the approval should work in case of expense, etc. That is the reason department is cost center segment. Sometimes instead of department you can call as a division also, or else directly in the system itself you can have a segment called as a cost center. Instead of department you can take as a cost center. There is separate session on that. What are the points I am trying to highlight? There is separate session to understand related to chart of accounts. For now, these are the points. Let's not go beyond to these points. It will confuse us in this stage if somebody is very new to this. So take these points. Okay, in the sequence we'll understand few more points, then everything would be clear for us. Okay. So we created chart of accounts with the three segments. To create the chart of accounts, two segments are mandatory. Minimum we require 2. Max we can go up to 30. but for our testing purpose, we created 3 segments. Those are company, department, account. For each segment, we assign the label. Every label got certain purpose. Okay, company label to balance the transaction, department label to track and for approvals purpose, account label to specify the nature for all the accounts. Based on the label, what label you are assigning, accordingly you can change the name for the segments. To which segment you assign primary, balance and segment label, that segment you can start calling as a balance and segment label. If you assign primary, balance and segment label to department, you can call department segment as, okay, department segment you can call as what?
Cost center.
Anyone please? If I assign primary, balance and segment label to department, I can call department segment as what?
Balancing segment.
That's all. That's all. What you are assigning, call with that name. That's all. If I assign natural account segment label to department,
Natural account.
that's it. Natural account segment. But whether really that is required or we should do or not, we should know. That's all. Okay. We never assign natural account segment label to other than account. Okay. Cost center, you can assign to department or other naming convention, division or something else you can have. Primary, balance and segment label, 99% company only, the 1% the naming convention, how it would be, all anyway we will discuss. So these are the points we have to understand. On these points, any questions from anyone, please?
So Lakshman, are you going to send today's recording to
Sorry?
Are you going to send today's recording,
Yeah,
class
in 30
recording
minutes you
video?
can find this recording in the Google Drive. 30 minutes in same drive. You don't get the separate email. I'll place one. I have to convert this. The conversion will take 30 to 40 minutes. Once the conversion is done, immediately I'll place this video in the Google Drive. You can access directly.
Hi,
Okay,
Lakshman.
with the last
One second,
email, what you sent?
Let him complete. Yeah, please.
Yeah, once the last email you send, we can access with that Google Drive.
Yeah, correct.
The
Same drive. Same drive.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, one point here. One point we'll proceed with the questions. Let me give the clarity here. So we done for today. Okay, we done for today. If you have any questions, you can stay back and we can discuss.